people of the fall of our shining black prince. Just like Martin, we thought that some dude named what's his name? Was it Lee Harvey Oswald? No, that's Kennedy. James Earl Ray. All this time we was thinking that James Earl Ray was the trigger man in the Martin Luther King assassination until we discovered that one, the bullet didn't kill him, the doctor killed him in the hospital because it came out in court. And we discovered that this dude was charged with Martin Luther King's murder and had nothing to do with it, was nowhere near the site, and they paid him $1 million to confess and never paid his family the money, which they promised him to do. When they reneged on all this came out in the trial. But also what came out in the trial is that Martin was set up by them niggas that was on the balcony with him.
No Ty Jesse.
And they talked about, it's another receipt, if you go back a couple days on my page, where the brother was talking about how they was paid massive amounts of money to the church to bust up the cohesion by sending everybody off and giving them grants to do their own thing. All that was the fallout for Martin. But now we have people who don't understand what Martin went through saying that he was a traitor because he changed his name from Michael King Jr. to Martin Luther King Jr., just like his daddy changed his name from Michael King Sr. to Martin Luther King Sr. Martin didn't actually have a name change till he was like an adult in his 20s. But they never stopped calling him Martin Luther from the time his father changed his name when Martin was about 5. So he wasn't even using his government name at all. Guess what? When you use a nickname or a non-government name, that's a tribal name. That's your nickname is your tribal name. That means your people named you that name and it stuck because of your character and your personality. So when we're looking back on history, it's 2020, but it's clouded in a bunch of chaos to keep us confused. They had us thinking that Malcolm and Martin was in opposite ideologies. But when Dr. Clark told us that the contingency plan for the nonviolent movement was to unleash Malcolm. So they had to get Malcolm first before they get Martin. Strategic military planning. We never stopped fighting against the government, and they never stopped fighting against us. When we was complaining in the early 1900s, they didn't have it an open declaration of war on the record. They eventually put it in there where they declared war on the people. We are the people. When you see we the people, that means nappy head, woolly hair, brown skin, Aksumi Americans. That don't mean we the people as in everybody. We the people used to be the name of every tribe in their own tribal tongue, right? Even the word tribe is an exonym. We didn't refer to ourselves separate from one another because the sign language in the original native sign language for our tribal name was always we the people. So no matter, and there was another term we used called the kinfolk. The kinfolk was the ceremonial side that did the ceremonies, right? And they was the ones that ceremonial tribal members went to. They was primarily the Blue House, and they called them kinfolk because everybody in the tribe wasn't a blood member of the tribe. They wasn't in the tribe by blood. They was in there by honor. Different system, different standard. On the Red House, you had to be blood related to somebody, or you can't get in none of their tribes. That's why right now, most of the people, you can reach out to Chief Warhorse. She's not going to talk to y'all. It ain't that she acting funny. She out the Red House. If you ain't related by blood, she don't want to really F with you. She don't really trust nobody that ain't from her bloodline. That's the way that they wired on her side of the family. Right? So our rules, under the kinfolk rules, what we call our GD literature, that teaches us growth and development. And it teaches us how to recognize other tribes and how to treat the foreign tribes when they come on the land. Ambassadors is what we being trained for. Right? Why do we need to be ambassadors? Because ain't nobody training us to be it. So the executive board put out the literature that actually trains us to do this work that me and Elder doing. Right? I speak up for Malachi, but Malachi not my chief. Y'all gotta remember that. I speak up for Angel Bay. That's not my chief. Larry, my chief. I speak up for Prince Lowe, Four Corner Hustler, and those are kinfolk. They not my chief. But when they've been done wrong and they've been attacked by the system, I speak up for Giant Africa, but I'm not part of the movement. I speak up for Mutulu Shakur, but I'm not part of the African Liberation Army. I speak up for Finney and Tupac and Huey, but I ain't no Panther. Right? I remind y'all about George Soledad Brother Jackson, and I am a gorilla. BGF Blood Oath. Right? I speak up for Assata Shakur, but I wasn't part of the New African Liberation Army. All these different people was the leadership that was working to liberate us. So I gotta know what they was doing, know if they was in the right, know how they got infiltrated, if I'm gonna come out and tell our people why we ain't got our shit. And I'm telling y'all why we ain't got it. And no matter whether you like Trump or not, I don't care neither way about it. But he doing the work we need done. He's dismantling their corporations. And Greenland is a critical part of Turtle Island that y'all don't even know. The story is told as the story of Loki and the Ice Princess. Because when Big Mama returned, that's the crown of Turtle Island. That means that the sacerdotal seat in Philadelphia is when it moved across the Mississippi, right? She's still gonna have to have what's called a embassy suite in Greenland as representing the crown chakra of Turtle Island. So Trump got to get it back. He ain't got no choice.
We should be saying the same thing in the U.S. Corp. And
we are saying the same thing.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
You got to remember, Dred Scott applies. We didn't have any rights they was bound to respect. Right? They couldn't give us freedom because we was never slaves. Go back and reread the Dred Scott case. The ones who was captured and given freedom was called freedmen, but they couldn't give them freedom under Dred Scott because they was already free. That's why they named them freedmen. It's also freeman, right? What's the last name? Liberator, which means one that's been liberated, right? So we got to understand that we never stopped fighting since 1492. The war never ended until now. Until now. It just evolved. When you go back to the first 300-400 years, it was bloody war everywhere they went. They couldn't go nowhere. And they was being protected by people that looked like us, that masqueraded as us. But they wasn't us. And that's why they keep calling people the Black Indians was protecting the colonizers. No. The Black colonizers was protecting the colonizers. The paleface don't start coming over here to the 1600s. Who was we fighting from 1492 to the 1600s? They don't even get into the West African slave trade until after the West African slave trade was abolished in West Africa. So they said it wasn't no pale faces that was doing slave trading over there. And they wasn't coming over here. They was taking them around across the Pillars of Hercules to the Mediterranean, where they had their slave ports at. The slave ports was in Tunis, Morocco, and parts of Egypt, going into the Middle East, and then you had the ones in Europe that was in Greece, Italy, Sicily, which just took a major water hit. Sicily did. It's an island. Sicily is also where the offspring of Hannibal and his armies, who had children with the women from the Iberian Peninsula, they was exiled to Sicily by the Roman Negroes they was fighting. If you don't know who they was fighting, then you can't put this together. You got to realize Romans didn't turn pale face until the 1900s. All of those emperors was all brothers, but they got to give you the token. Or is it what is it, Marcus Aurelius? They had to give you the token Negro, and then paint everybody else white, so it'll look like it was an exception. What? No, Emperor what was his name? He came from Africa. And the only reason why they had to tell you he was black, because part of his rise from general to emperor, right? They told where he came from as a military genius. They said he came from Africa, so they can't paint you white. And then in that era, for us to believe a white dude came from Africa, paleface came from Africa.
Hey Rob, before we roll, we got about 5 minutes worth of videos, but it's dealing around the dirty Moors. But let me ask you this question, because it's gonna set up to watch those videos. Now, could you break down the Ponzi scheme? Because it seemed like to me this was a long Ponzi scheme set up by a whole bunch of infiltration for people that look like us that ain't us, and it seemed like based on all the keys you gave me, and when I went to research, started looking into it, it seemed like it always lead back to the Freemasons with this black and white checkerboard flow. Like when they came out with the Nationalization Act 1790 that same year, you either was white or blackballed. You know what I'm saying? And I studied a lodge. In a lodge, when you want to join, when you got to ask a Mason, right? And then they see you do this test rigmarole. Then they vote you in, right? They vote you in by using all white balls. If you get all white balls, they bring you into the lodge. But if one person in the lodge put a black ball in there, then you can't be accepted to the lodge. So could you break down this black and white, the long Ponzi scheme, or the dude that started it, and how they came up with what you was telling me earlier about the Ponzi?
So the game was okay. First of all, let's address the checkerboard. The checkerboard is not a checkerboard. First off, checkerboard is black and red.
Okay,
that's the first thing you got to know.
Okay,
this is not checkers. This is another game. The game is called chess.
Go ahead.
Right now, in the chess game, the white pieces are on attack. The black pieces are on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Being on defense makes you Humpty Dumpty. Meaning that you got the potential, but they don't want you in the white with the free white persons in law. They want to assign you to become the black piece, the civilly mortis, lost and dead at sea. That means that you was originally from the land. Mm-hmm. The white pieces on this chessboard are the invaders. We started off playing Battleship. If you go back, there was an announcement in the news back when Trump first took office that there was a British ship that he told they can't dock in the harbor outside of D.C. no more. The reason that is because we had to sink their battleship. But first we had to get rid of the guard ship. The guard ship in the bay represented the guardian ship. of the Vatican that was given to the Empire of Britain, right? And they had to keep the Guardian, which was a guard ship, in the bay. Now, the guard ship is protecting the ship that ran ashore, the Plymouth Rock, the Mayflower, the good ship Plymouth, right? Malcolm told us we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us, right? Because he was telling us about the international complaint that got us in this condition where we had to come up with an alternative solution than bloody war. This was the George Washington challenge. But first, they had to make a blood sacrifice. In a book called the Bible, they got what's called the blood of the righteous, or first blood of the righteous. The first blood of the righteous in sorcery and blood magic mean when you invade a land, you got to get the highest ranked individual you can capture and kill him and spill his blood and use his blood to write the blood oath contract. This blood oath contract, we call it the United States Constitution, not the one that's in the Library of Congress. That was the first Constitution. This is a secondary Constitution. Now, this is the Boston Massacre after the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party, the T is the square. This is telling you that it's a hangman game about to take place. In other words, it's about to be a public execution as represented by the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party was the prelude to the Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre culminated with the death of Crispus Attucks, and they have to tell us he was the first person to die, to shed blood for this nation. No, he was not. He was the first one of us to shed blood, that they can put us in a stupor by writing the Constitution in his blood. Right? Now, they still have to go on a killing spree because they got to get rid of everybody that remember the old ways. This is where you bring in your Black Brotherhood of Spain, right? El Español Hermanos de Negros, and your KKK, because they are the origin of the KKK. The regalia of the KKK comes from the Black Brotherhood of Spain, which was established by Moors in the Dark Ages. Okay, now, these people in the South, by the tribes, is referred to as the Black Hand, because the leader of the raids always had on that white regalia, KKK regalia, but the Black Hand was always hanging from under that white robe, and it wasn't no glove. Only thing they can tell the antiquity to identify who their attacker was to tell them it was the Black Hand that hang from under the white robe. Later, they gave pale faces black robes to mirror flip the circumstance. And this is where you get your Judiciary Act, your false judiciaries under the 1863 Charter of Savannah, Georgia, by the French King George, who became King of England. He told them to take everything from us using the law. Well, the law that they given us is predicated upon levies and liens. The lien is the contract. Because when you lien, you at a slant. The contract means against the tract or against the land. But you the living land. But they want to tell you the living man because they want to separate you from Mother Earth. They want to tell the son that he don't have to honor the mother from which he came, as long as he can get the current that you can see, that paper, the green. The green is just the dye marker. right? That you put in the water to see where the current take it. And that way you can know what tributaries is coming from where in order to find out how you get into the mainstream. The mainstream is the old Mississippi, but we think the mainstream means the common collective of the pop culture. The mainstream is the Mississippi because the old Mississippians is the oldest blood of the land, with first in time being first in line, having first right to the earth rights in order for one of the sons to restore the mothers. We remember the codes, but we have to figure out how to apply them in modern times with modern circumstances and situations. But we have to go back to the old ways in order to understand the redemption process. So they gave us the grandfather clause. They told you it was a Mrs. clause with your Christmas story, but they never told you that there was a grandmother clause in law, because the grandmother clause is tribal. That's why they keep erasing everything that the tribal mothers do on the land, right? If Lucy Parsons would have had the right strategist behind her, she would have told her she would have sat in the sacerdotal seat in Philadelphia, she would have overthrew the Conjure. But since she didn't have nobody tell her, and Ypres Verdiasi didn't have nobody tell her, they couldn't stop it. Red House. Now we got to revert back to the Blue House. The Mississippi Delta Blue. Delta Blue is the Marines. Simple fact. The Marines come from the Delta as the frogmen of the Navy, which was a special forces tribe from the land. But we don't know the history of this stuff, so we thinking that these is foreigners. They operating as foreigners, but they using our old stuff to their advantage. When any special forces operations was taught and trained from the land in warfare on the land. And this is why they kept hiring people from the land and putting other people on the land that don't belong to the land in order to confuse how warfare is fought. Right? Now, once they do all of this, it's a scrambled egg now. It's going to be almost impossible to figure this stuff out. Especially with you add the paper genocide, the Trail of Tears, the Indian train that don't nobody talk about no more. And I used to hear about it all the time when I was a little boy. When the old people used to be talking about, yeah, I remember they came down and told my grandma, you got an Indian train coming, you going on? She said, I ain't getting on no Indian train. I'm staying right here on my land. That's what the people was calling it in the South. It was called the Indian train, but none of us want to get on it. And as they went through, they incorporated the children from the Indian boarding schools into the mix with the very few of us who actually went into the land. This is how they was able to develop our old culture, because they had us teaching it to them. Right? They all talk that talk. All them $5 Indians be coming out like I just blocked one today on my Facebook page, and I don't block nobody. You gotta really be far for me to block you. Right? But when he wanna try to convince me I'm from Africa and he from Siberia, then we ain't got nothing to talk about. I'm not the import. Right? I'm the original. I had a conversation a few years ago with a Moor, and he was like, which tribe you from? I said, all of them. He said, what you mean? I said, my bloodline is the root stock of all tribes that's native to this land, that's original to this land. Old Mississippian blood. Aztec, Inca, Olmec, I don't care what you call them. They're the same people. And we ain't never went nowhere. We still here. That's why Tupac can talk to me in a song and tell me way more than you can read in the book. And the song only 3 minutes long on average. Right? He can get more information to all of the chiefs on the land in one song than you can put in a whole book. Brother Jay, cold talker like a mug. You go listen to Brother Jay, and if you can understand the Egyptology he using, the tribal lingo he using, and the way that he's using it, he can educate you on your condition. Raquel, one of the greatest to ever do it. Follow the leader. Brother said, digging my ducks, never dug him. He couldn't follow the leader long enough, so I drug him. In the danger zone, he should have raged his zone. Space in the place, it's the cuts to rage the tone. It's one R in the alphabet. It's a 4-letter word, and it's about to get more complex from one rhyme to the next. Eric B, be easy on the flex. Right? They can tell us stuff. Ice Cube, he know he had Afro Chief. Right? We call him Afro Chiefs because the hairstyle now was referred to as an Afro. That's not what they was called in antiquity. They was just called Mississippians. Mississippi is not a European word, but it's coded and loaded with code. But if you don't know the code, you will never flip the message out of the code. And I ain't going to go into decoding Mississippi because there's a lot of people that think I'm just making stuff up. They'll figure it out one day, and I'm going to be using it to my advantage the whole time. And when they figure it out, they're going to say the only way that he could have did all that, he had to know what this means.
Yeah, Raw. That's one of Raw receipts he sent me earlier.
So look, let's go over a little bit of that. Now, there's some symbolism in the actual video that a lot of us probably overlooked. Like you didn't see that picture of Yakub on the side of the church with his big ass head. I'm gonna tell you something else you probably overlooked. Earlier in the video, they had showed the dude on the painting, the Moor, had the pale lady with the puppet strings to her. Remember I was telling you about blackface?
Yeah. Yeah, right. Black face, white hand.
Look, go over it. Let's go play the video.
I got it into loaded into screen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Pause.
All right, so that picture that we was just looking at.
I had it loaded it up straight. Yeah.
Right, that picture that we was just looking at, that was showing them making them deals around the corner. Almost all the faces are melanated except one. If you play a little longer, you're gonna see. I'm gonna let you go this time. Let it go till you see the puppet master pulling the strings of the pale lady. You see Yakub?
Yeah, I seen him next to that other picture,
right behind the checkerboard floor. And we noticed as soon as he said the ancient ones who know the game, the checkerboard floor popped up. That's not a coincidence.
They're not saying the Felicians. They saying with a V, right? They saying Venetians.
Venetians, yeah. That's the ones who settled Venice. The Venetians settled Venice. The Etruscans settled Tuscany. Right.
I read it.
Right. So there's two different groups. Those are the ones was sent in as in their children to civilize the European, but they didn't do what they were supposed to do. But this is a whole nother story. I don't want to go back down that road. But the whole thing they were showing you in there was how they was using infiltration, bribery, and deception the whole time. Those are different kind games. This is why you say a dude that's book smart and street smart, the most dangerous one, because he can see the game, the times they play in the corporate world, in the business world, in the politics. The average person can't see the kind in the game, so they continue to play the game in fraud. As long as you participate in the fraud, then you liable as a participant to fraud. So when the fraud come tumbling down, your world come tumbling down around you because you tied into the fraud. This is why we have to use the oral tradition to override the paperwork, because the paperwork is a paper chain designed to trap you, and the ones who sell paperwork are slave catchers. Because when you do the paperwork, in order to put somebody on notice with their own system, right? They not gonna honor that.
That's what I was thinking about too. That other
right.
part.
So it was like what I posted the other day. When the whole system is acting in fraud and you catch it, which one of them gonna give up their lifestyle in order to honor your recognition of the fraud? No, they all acting in fraud. They can't go against the fraud they're acting in because you figured it out. But the more people coattail you pull, the more people abandon the fraud, because that's the only defense to a crime. That the abandonment defense of a crime of inclusion. I mean, it's a conspiracy, a group. When you discover the fraud, you're supposed to cease and desist all activities associated with the fraud, right? The only problem with the way that the system is set up through adhesion contracts, even when you think you're stepping away from the fraud, you stepping back into the fraud. So you still giving them jurisdiction, trying to assert that they don't have jurisdiction, right? You gotta wait till they kidnap you first. Then you got to be a master of the habeas corpus, the great writ, right? The last person suspended it was George Bush, suspended the power of the writ. But the Constitution said that no act of government shall suspend the power of the great writ. So it was supposed to be null and void, but the courts stopped hearing habeas corpuses once you're done is done. They can only hear over one time. And then they didn't have to accept the habeas corpus. Before they had to at least acknowledge the habeas corpus and tell you why they're not going to review the case. Right? So the suspension of the writ means that you trapped in the position of servitude. This is why, like, I'm not on no probation, parole, none of that. I did my time to walk down my parole, right? So I'm no longer a bond servant.
Mm-hmm.
All of the ones that are still locked up is bond servants. Knowingly or unknowingly, it don't matter. Everybody locked up is a bond servant. That means that there's a bond that you forced to be in service to, that's tied to you through the government. Right? Now I can speak up for the ones in there where they use fraudulent means to ensnare them in their traps, right? Because if you don't know how they trapped them, you won't know how to tell the people they got trapped. So they won't be able to see that they was never supposed to be there, and that alone should be sufficient to free them. Like, they didn't say Larry told the guy, hey, go shoot this dude. That's not what he was in there for. Larry was in there because they said the dude believed that Larry needed this done, so he just took it on himself to go do it. That's what Larry went to prison for. It's called influence. That law in Illinois has since been taken off the books. Right? So the law that Larry is in the state case on is no longer a law in Illinois. Fruit of the poison tree apply. When you repeal the law, you release the man.
Right. That's a fact. They did with the weed.
Unless you fall under Dred Scott.
Damn.
An outlaw tribe. You gotta think about that.
That's right, Rod.
You got, in order for them to continuously hold you, they are acknowledging the fact that you are a tribal leader with no treaty. Yeah. And they're going to force you into a treaty agreement in order to liberate you from your bondage. And that's why Larry been in there that long, because he won't do contract business with the government. And they know this.
Yeah, he said it perfectly.
The same with Jeff Ford. He wouldn't do business with the government. That whole case against him, the terrorism case, is the same case they used to murder Prince Lowe. It's the same case, the same actors. Trying to trap another prince up after they took down the king. He not gonna fall for that. And when he didn't fall for it, they murdered Prince Lowe on the west side. Chicago know what I'm talking about. They lied on Jeff. They brought in They brought in some people who were supposed to be code crackers, and they figured out the language of the Keystones, and they said that Jeff was giving them orders in coded messages, right? But the messages don't match what they telling you they saying.
Yeah. They said that he said go get a bazooka or all this crazy shit.
Jeff never said that.
Yeah.
Right? They got documentaries on that stuff showing you how they set it up. Jeff was already locked up when that happened.
Yeah. CIA.
He was doing a meatball, but they used that because they couldn't afford to let him hit the streets again. He had learned too much and he had become too influential in the city of Chicago. He would have been able to start organizing the tribes. Between him, King David, Larry Hoover, and Big Bull, and a few others, they would have been able to organize the whole city of Chicago in an instant to put down any resistance from the government aside from air bombing.
Damn.
You gotta remember, it was a dude that looked like us that ordered the bombing on Philadelphia move on the family of Giant Africa. Because they was going back to the tribal way of living. Because Giant Africa understood that you have to be one with the land in order for you to stay healthy and have longevity. And they trying to cut us off from the land and force us into labor camps. Right? They didn't have to blow them people up. But we don't remember that first part, though. Before they blew them up, they shot them up. We forgot about that part, though. They were sending bullets in there with women and children hiding for their life before they dropped the bombs.
Damn, boy.
We not paying attention. They never stopped warring against us. Right? We trying to follow what they call in Islam Sirata Mustaqim, the straight and narrow way. The only way that you can get out of this without going to a raw, bloody warfare is by strategy alone. You have to out-strategize the enemy. Expose his fraud to the people. While you showing the people who's behind the fraud, what they doing with the receipts. Right? That's why these oral traditions are so important. Because under the oral tradition, we can use their written word to prove the corruption of their ways. We can show you they split tongue when they talking with two agendas. By they doing two different things in actuality. They signed treaties saying one thing, but their actions did another. That means they came in with two agendas. They lying. They spreading falsehood. Now, the ones who are unaware are the orphans who's growing up after they had murdered their parents and their grandparents with no information or no knowledge of self. Anybody that can figure any of it out, they getting lynched.
Oh, and being Bay being a traitor, really? To me,
they are the ones who came from Europe and wanted to lay claim to this land. The tripartite system that he laid down is based on the 3 degrees of masonry. So you have judicial, legislative, and executive. Executive is police, legislative is lawmakers, and judicial is the ones who mediate between the activities of the two. Right? So it's based on entered apprentice, fellow craft, master mason.
Right.
Right. That's Blue House. The principles of the Blue House is being laid down, but it's coming out of the 32 degree Scottish Rite Red House from Europe. free white persons in law, Scottish bankers, having established the Scottish Bank off the Scottish Rite Freemasons. These are the ones who not only are they establishing the three-party system or the three-part system, they're also in the process of instituting a centralized banking cartel. They're going to use this banking cartel to deplete us of our wealth using debt and inflation. Debt is told to you as interest rate or taxation. And the inflation is taking it by changing the value of the currency as you lower the value of the goods. I mean, you lower the value of the currency, it increases the value of the goods. So that's cutting it off the top and the bottom. Pretty soon they're going to cut you all the way out.
Damn. Mafia.
Right? So the three-part system had to be established in order to commercialize everything under the salvage right being applied through Uniform Commercial Code. What we know as the black codes is derivatives of the commercial code, right? Because it's to tell them how to handle the ones discovered dead walking around lost at sea. Right? C is a musical note. Right? So when you lost at sea, the only thing you can do is try to rise to E. Right? So it's a Mississippian blues connotation. To rise from C class to E is educated. Right? So when everything means something, but it don't mean anything until you say it means something. By establishing firm definitions, you establish the criteria by which everybody will follow the system according to the understanding of the language that's been defined for them. When they realize that they speak more than one language simultaneously, and then they start realizing they're multilingual. Because we don't just speak in words. We speak in body language. We speak in facial expression, right? We speak by altering our positions, what they call gestures. And these messages carry through in the form of the hieroglyphics. So we can tell each other the story and wake everybody up from the slumber, right? So the George Washington, Crispus Attucks connection is the same as the Benjamin Banneker and Lewis and Clark. Right? Remember, they surveyors. Lewis and Clark is surveyors. Benjamin Banneker is what they call it, a jurist, an astrologer, astronomer, and he's a navigator. Big Ben Bay escorted Lewis and Clark on their expedition because they were supposed to serve as Peter and Paul. But all the time, the one who was doing the stealing was the one that was hiding behind Peter and Paul. Because he was a Jew.
They end up killing the dude later, 3 years after that. 1803, Louisiana Purchase. 3 years later, they give a story that some Knights of Templar raided Benjamin Banneker's house, stole paperwork, and he went on the walk, came back, he died. I don't believe... It seemed like to me he could have faked his death or something, Rod. What you think on that, Rod? Because the storyline...
His story is the same as Nikola Tesla's. His story is the same as several other prominent figures back then who was at odds. Jacques de Molay, the leader of the Templars, died the same way. They try to force them to give them the sacred Masonic word, right? But the word is in wide open. It's in plain sight.
Right.
And they thinking that the secret is concealed secretly. The secret is in the open.
Right.
Because everything has to be in the public domain if you're going to play in this game of the gods we playing in. When the masters come through, it's cleanup time. Right? And now comes Judge Dredd, the final judge. Right? They call me in to find out what the problem is and why it's still operating. I'm the chief of last resort. I'm the one you ain't supposed to want to see. And that's why I get so much hate. Because they know I'm either going to fix the problem or I'm going to blow it all up. Ain't no two in betweens. Either going to fix it or destroy it. This is fixable. Because everything around us now is predicated up on the maintenance of ignorance, collective ignorance. And so we have to move into a public educational format, right? We have to make the universe the new university. Our geology has to be walking the earth, right? Exercising our geography. So we use what we can in our environment in order to read the continuum. The continuum is the repeat patterns and cycles. Every time you observe a repeat pattern, you can see the exit shortly thereafter. But if you don't never pick up on the patterns, you can't never get out of the game. That's what Michael Jackson was telling us in The Wiz. You can't win. You can't get out of the game. You can't win. Because you have to play it to the end. In the end is when the marathon got to come to an end. It got to be a finish line somewhere. Right? If it's a finish line, one of us gonna figure it out. So the Feds Memorial is all of the Moors that was contracted under the Scottish Rite Freemason, 32 degree Scottish Rite Freemasons, to come from Europe and apply an interim jurisdictional government while we, the 50 chiefs, that's the 50 neckers. Or as Tupac would say, 50 niggas. Never ignorant getting goals accomplished. Right? These 50 are on the mural as Inca chiefs with King Charles V. So you have to be able to identify both sides of the war. The white pieces on the chessboard and the black pieces. Because if you're going to play the pieces, you got to know where your dog at in the fight. And all you got to do is be able to establish a heart link connection, and you can tell if you got a dog in that fight in order to do your work. I just got a dog in a whole lot of fights. I'm a dog man. Dogs flip guys, and guys flip with dogs. Mirror flipping. It's a code. Zigzag zig. Postgraduate removal of the lessons. End game is a resurrection. That's common sense. Right? Don't worry about the boys in the hood. They still bad boys. Even if they is on death row. Because if they in Minnesota, they just rude boys. Right? And the rude boy in Jamaica is a shotter. A shotter is a shooter.
It's like, it's so much that, like, we don't have enough time, but it's okay, right? Okay, so, like, this is my partner here. People think that that's my brother, but we just lovers, that's all. But Um, people, his dad, Unc, don't
Look,
laugh.
but that's the kindred spirits, though.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is. Like
Yeah.
his
That's when
dad.
they say they've been together so long they look alike now. It ain't
His
that they've been
dad.
together that long. It's just that they got
Mhm.
kindred spirits. They two halves of the same motherfucking coin.
Pretty much. His dad. We went to a funeral, right? His dad literally thought I was his long lost daughter. I said, "No, sir, I know my dad." He was like, "Oh, I just had to make sure." I was like, "No, sir, his name is blah 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 blah." He was like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, we from Savannah, Georgia. We're both musicians.
We artists, we
We
real
artists.
rappers,
We
we
real
real
rappers.
rappers.
We
Like
we spit now.
Revolution of African People, we
Yes.
real like soul, substance, medicine in the food, food with the medicine, like real rappers. And we got a story. We both from the trenches. She from one side of the trench, I'm from the other
Okay,
side of the trench.
we gonna do this for the people that's watching. When y'all get done answering y'all question, we can all give a 16 for the fans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Ooh,
okay,
yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But okay. So going back to the question, so we don't get be all
Too
over the
far from the
place.
point.
So okay, so one I wanted to say first, deep reverence, deep gratitude. My mom is a Scorpio. We Leos. Both of us is Leos. Like my descent, but I'm a descendant of a Scorpio though. My mom a real Scorpio. She introduced me. She put me on my path when I was 18. I'm 27 years old. Like she sent me my spiritual kit. I moved to Atlanta. She told me about my ancestors. She sent me a spiritual kit with sage, crystals, tarot cards, all that. And was like, figure it out. So that was my path.
Your mama high priestess.
Oh yeah,
Big
the
Scorpio.
biggest. Like the biggest.
Not the little one.
The biggest. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, go ahead, babe.
Oh yeah, so to bring it back though, so one of my I just want to I want to brain bang with you because you be on here and you be dropping a lot. I want to rap and tap with you. You be dropping a lot of gems, a lot of game, and like first I want to say I appreciate all our brothers and sisters, all our soul tribe members, all of the other angelic light beings, just resonant souls that not only follow this creed but live by this creed, abide by this creed, abide by morality, love, togetherness, unity, like you said, for the people, and the people is us, the melanin. So one was a couple months back when the whole thing was going on, and not to talk about nobody or anything like that or getting nobody or no people business or not like that. I'm just mentioning you because you the chief, and because you have the powers and the connections to interact with these people and so on and so forth. And so one thing was a couple months back with the whole situation with 607 Unk and B-Dell and Phase One and all of them and stuff like that. And I wanted to say, just because I watched the original live that 607 Unk did with B-Dell, and 607 Unk, he remind me of SU. He remind me of one of my cousins. You see what I'm saying? Real SU. So he was saying
Crazy Horse energy. That's when they using Chief Crazy Horse energy. They have to create perceptions where only the ones that can see past the facade can get the message.
Exactly. And I just wanted to say, I feel you have that type of that balance to be able to bring the bridge both of the worlds, because 607 Unk was saying not only a lot of real things, but he really was trying to bring the worlds together. You dig what I'm saying? Because he's on the other side when it comes to the industry, celebrities, things like that. And when he had the opportunity to be on live with B-Dell first and all that, he really was trying to do that. And I think B-Dell at the moment just wasn't receiving it as that at first. You dig what I'm saying? And I just kind of want to bring that up because it was interesting, and I watched a video that you did with Ashe, the African spiritual experience, and you had kind of mentioned it a little bit. You was like, it seemed like it was a misunderstanding, and y'all laughed about it, type of thing. And so I just kind of want to bring it up because I was one of those people who actually caught the live in real time, and that whole live had broke the whole matrix. You dig what I'm saying? So that was
the intended purpose of it.
Exactly.
Okay, now let me give you a little background in that situation. Is B-Dell called me and said, to talk to me right after, right after the first video, and I didn't see the video. I still haven't seen it. But he
Mhm.
called me and he was telling me what happened, that he had some words to 607 up. And, you know, I just told him what I saw in 607 up. And it said, just step back and look and pay attention. And then next thing I know, they was doing another live. I was like, okay.
Tight. But that live had went left too. The second one had went super left. It went
Supposed
super.
to.
Yeah.
It's called
Yeah.
gorilla knocking. You got to be able to hold your post, or Nick gonna knock your ass off your post.
Facts though. Facts.
Right? You got to know. You know what I'm saying, when somebody is bumping against you, to show that you firm. See, we be taking everything personally. I don't take stuff personally. Right? I let people, you will either come over here and have a conversation with me, or you're going to leave me alone. I don't care what you say over there on your platform. That's not my platform.
Facts.
Right? I'm not going to come on your platform and tell you can't say Rod Hazel sucks. If you say that on your platform, cool. Don't tell me that to stay on mine.
Facts.
Right? Now, that being in mind, it's just like now. You know, we've already been going back and forth. Y'all missing my lives or whatever. But I'm here. I ain't running. I ain't ducking. I ain't hiding from nobody.
Facts. I know you ain't.
Now, I do got one thing on the floor that I haven't been able to answer yet, and that Brother Sanchez reached out to me, and I haven't had a chance to reach back because I was going through something. When he was reaching out, I was in the middle of a family crisis. Right? So, but he did reach out. So I can't say he ain't never reached out to me now. If I tell people that, I'll be making shit up.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not finna make nothing up. I don't know him.
Yeah.
I never met him. I tried to listen to him. We don't have the same. We don't be on the same time.
Yeah.
So I stay out of his way. I don't say nothing negative about him to the public or none of that, because I don't know him like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know from what I'm doing, I know that people have to present opposing perspectives to shake the mind free from the trap. Everybody not always supposed to be in agreement with everything, but you're supposed to be able to learn how to work with the people where you might have one thing y'all don't agree on, but it's one thing y'all do. Work on that one thing. And whatever y'all don't agree with, when they go home, they deal with that part of it. You go home and you deal with your part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I do know the mind it'll get comfortable once it becomes used to a certain stream. And the only way to get it out of that rut, you have to have two opposing views slapping the water from both sides. And now they're uncomfortable because the two opposing views is creating the rapid waves. Just the water not serene no more. So you feed some truth into the gossip circle, and you wake more people up than you could possibly imagine.
Facts.
We know the gossip circle.
Yeah.
If you listen to that movie Friends, by Houdini, he had to tell Sarah. She told Carol. Then the story went down with Michael Wheelbarrow. And she told Cheryl what she thought she heard, and somehow Eazy-E got the word. He told somebody I knew from uptown, and they called me up and put me down. Now the whole damn story's been changed around, and that's the reason why I ain't with you now. Right? What Scarface say? He say, careful, because once Gladys got it, everybody had it. Gladys is the one that's telling everybody business off her front porch, but you ain't heard it from me because I ain't the one to talk.
Yes, sir.
So the thing is people don't know how to exploit our culture like we do. Feed some truth into the gossip circle, some juicy gossip, like, girl, guess what? We ain't from no goddamn Africa.
From over here.
They got the receipts to show it.
Facts.
Girl, go. Yeah.
Facts.
Right.
I'm gonna go ask my mama.
Right.
Mama, you ever heard? Yeah, girl, my mama used to tell me that all the time. Why you ain't never tell us? I ain't think it was important.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all coming back full circle.
Full circle. Like
You get
like
to
Oh, I wanted
injecting
to.
life into the community, injecting truth into the gossip circle.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, okay, you don't know this, Uncle Hayes, but you know you my second dad. You know, for you really is my second dad. Like for real. Like
no yeah.
he'll tell you. He'll tell
No
you.
yeah. No yeah.
You
For real.
you.
Like these last 4 years, like every it seemed like when I say I go back and rewatch a lot of your videos with Brother Rich, every like the game you giving, it's like you literally
You
talking about
literally
our
explain.
lives,
You
like you
talking about our
literally. I'm talking
lives.
about it have been times where you done said about like how with Tupac, you was like before Tupac blew up, he used to be sleeping on people's couches and stuff, and random people just walk in, and you know what I'm saying, and like
He watching the video, sleeping on somebody's couch
on somebody's couch doing that
on his journey.
on my journey. You
And
see
it's
what
so
I'm saying?
crazy because like his journey is a little bit different. Like well, can I tell him our
Yeah.
life path numbers?
She's
Okay.
a 6 and I'm a 9.
I'm a life path number 6 and he's a 9. So like my childhood, like my journey started.
Oh yeah,
from,
and we have a big mama named Margaret too.
and we have a big mama named Margaret. I should go show you her right now, but she in the
Wait,
bed.
wait.
Okay, wait. Can we wait? Can we wait?
Big my big mama that blessed me when I was a baby was Mother Margaret.
We know. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. So like, okay, so like his journey started when he was 18. My journey started probably the first day I was born. My mom pretty much had an emergency C-section. My mom said like she couldn't handle the pain. My mom was like, she was like, get this baby out of me. I might have all y'all money. And like they was like, okay. So it gave her some drugs, and then I came in, and my mom said I came in super peaceful. I was sucking my thumb. I sucked my thumb for a long time. When I got like I went to foster care around like 5 years old. I'm the youngest of 6. My mom adopted 3 more, so it's 9 of us in total. But I'm the second to the last. I'm the only Leo.
Same my way.
I'm the only Leo, but I grew up
My
in
father was a Leo.
Was he? Okay. I grew up in a haunted house. Now
You live in a haunted house in Grand Rapids.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you? Okay, so let me tell you, right? So my great grandmother, she grew up in Huntersville. My great grandmother raised me. Her name was Miss Lily.
That's my cousin name.
Is it? Get out of here. See, I ain't knew all that. But pretty much Miss Lily Foxworth, Miss Lily Futch, beautiful soul, Sagittarius, super strong headed, mean pants, never smiled in no picture. Any picture you see, she's not smiling. Warrior, 1925. My great great grandmother actually left her a house in Savannah, Georgia. So she moved here when she was 12 years old. She experienced a lot of everything. Every timeline. She lived to be 92 years old. Pretty much I grew up in a haunted house. My great grandma died in the bed that I slept in when I was a kid. A lot of residual energy lived in our childhood home. So the first time I had an encounter, I was sleeping. My grandma, which was my great grandma's mom, which was my dad's mom, she was like, Libby. Well, my dad's.
Your grandma's
yeah, my
Did you
great
say
grandma's
Libby?
daughter.
Did you say Libby?
Yeah, my name is Libby, but my name is Olivia. But my nickname is Libby. They never called me
The
Libby.
girl that used to live next door to me when we first moved to Pontiac, her name was Libby.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me tell you, Unc.
No. Not next door. She used to live around the corner. But she was my brother right over me. They was the girl. They like a year older than me. We like 5 and 6. No, we like 4 and 5, and they kissing girlfriend, boyfriend. Go hide behind the bed, getting kissed, and then act like they did something.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You know how that y'all go.
Yeah.
So pretty much
Playing house.
So pretty much my great grandma, her whole house is filled with residual energy. I'm talking about like malls, tricks, big mama house. Like this is like ultimate. Like this is the most house that I can say that the system has compromised the most.